Hello everyone, Michael O'Brien here, and this week we're going to talk about how to ring in your gimmicks. Hey everyone, Michael O'Brien here with more advice for magicians. I'm out here today in beautiful Diamond Bar, California. As you can see, we're right at the top of the hill to Diamond Bar Center. We're going to be working a beautiful wedding today. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's a hot one today. As you can see, I'm not wearing my coat. Going to have to figure that one out. Hopefully the air conditioning is blasting once we get inside. Very, very warm in Southern California today, but we'll make do. The reason I'm making this video is a few of you guys have actually asked in another video that I did last week called Sleight of Hand versus Gimmicks. If you guys haven't checked that video out already, I suggest you do so. I'll leave somewhere up here a little link to that so you guys can click on it, or look in the description below for a link to that video as well. But essentially the question was, how do I naturally include gimmicks in my routine without drawing too much attention to them? Because remember, gimmicks are supposed to be, sort of the cloak and dagger of your effect, so to speak. You're supposed to go undetected. Obviously, the spectator is not supposed to know that it is a gimmick. Now, some gimmicks are inherently invisible and can be completely examined, and other gimmicks, not so much. Some gimmicks tend to stand out a little bit more as an object that may or may not be as natural. Now, I'm not going to touch on a whole lot in this video, but I did want to give one little example of how you can ring in a gimmick and how to motivate it so that it goes undetected by the audience as a foreign object or as a gimmick, so to speak. And now, real quick, before I start talking about that, I just wanted to encourage you guys to leave a comment below in this video talking about some of the ways that you yourself have created sort of this way to add gimmicks into your routine without making them stand out too much. Now, the word that comes to mind when I think about this is the word motivation. Now, what do I mean by motivation? I don't mean you're gonna sit your gimmick down and have a pep talk with it, right? What I mean by motivation is, does it have a reason for existing, right? Now, like I said, before I talk too much about this, I want to just ask you guys to start a discussion in the comment section below. You guys had a really great discussion on that last video, and I want to keep that going. That way it's not just me constantly talking at you guys. I would love to hear your experiences, and I'd love to hear feedback from you. Maybe you can even learn something from each other. So it'll be a learning experience for everyone, myself included. So what do I mean by motivation? Motivation simply means giving the thing that you're talking about or that you're presenting a reason for existing. Now, the number one gimmick that comes to mind when I think about this is the wow gimmick. Now, if you're not familiar with the wow gimmick, essentially it is a little card sleeve that you stick a playing card into. You shake it, and then it very visually changes from one card into another one. You can remove the card, and now the card is the changed card. You can hand it out to the audience, and they can keep it. The card can be signed. It's really cool. There's a lot of fun things you can do with it. You can make signatures appear. You can make signatures disappear. All kinds of cool stuff you can do with it. But the wow gimmick itself is one of those things that's like, why does this thing exist? It's just a card sleeve. It's very out of the ordinary. 99% of the time, most people have never seen anything like it. So how do we motivate that gimmick? How do we ring in this gimmick without spectators becoming suspicious to it that it is a gimmick? Now, one theory that I've heard used before is that maybe this card sleeve is like one of those card protectors. Like if you've ever played like any trading card games or collected baseball cards, you get those plastic sleeves that you can place your cards into. Now, maybe this wow gimmick can be one of those. So ringing in the wow gimmick could depend on the pattern that you use. Maybe you're going to talk about, how you played trading card games, or you collected baseball cards or something like that. And this is one of your, sleeves that you use to protect it. And in this case, you're going to go ahead and put their card in the sleeve for safekeeping. Or maybe you might say, I'm going to place the card inside. That way I can't manipulate the card. The card is right there in plain view. You can see the card, and there's no way that I can change it or do anything with it because it is inside of this sleeve. There's different ways that you can ring this gimmick in. And a lot of the ways that you can do that depend on pattern. Now, there's another way that you can ring in gimmicks. You can have the routine structured around the gimmick in such a way that maybe you switch into the gimmick without them realizing it, or maybe you have an object that you can place down on the table at the beginning, and then later on in the routine that object is used. Like, for example, there's a new gimmick that just came out not too long ago called the Switch Box. I believe it was Michael Chilaton. I'm gonna butcher his name. I apologize for this, but I believe it's Michael Chilaton, if that's how you say your name. Again, I'm so sorry for butchering your name. But essentially what it is it's a card box that sits on the table, and it has a folded card on top of it, and you pick up the card off of the box, and in doing so you're performing a card switch. So you can do some card to impossible location work, you know, or like a prediction, or like a mystery card reveal, or something like that. So now if you're going to use a gimmick like this, the thing that I always hesitate with gimmicks that are placed on the table, a lot of the times they come into the table without a purpose. Perfect example of this is any kind of deck switch utility gimmick, like the cold case or the cooler, where, you know, you're just arbitrarily placing some object on the table that you're going to use later, and it doesn't have any reason to be used. Like maybe I'm going to place the cold case on the table, and I'm going to do card magic, and then at one point I'm going to pick up the cold case gimmick to do the deck switch and then put it away. But like, why did I pick that up and put it away? It has to be motivated. Also, a lot of these gimmicks don't allow you to take the cards out of the box at the beginning, so a lot of the time, you know, the magician is reaching into their pocket, removing an unboxed deck, handing the deck out to be shuffled, and then reaching into their other pocket, pulling out the card case, and then setting it on the table. It just does not make sense. So if you can structure the routine in such a way where the object that's in play makes sense, then I think it could be very, very powerful. So for example, again, let's go back to the Switch Box. Maybe, you know, you take the cards out of the box, you have the deck shuffled, you perform, you know, some kind of a deck switch from the you know, the real card case, and you switch into the gimmick, change the change box with the folded card on it. You fold a random card from the deck and pretend to place it on the box, and then set the box down. So now it looks like you just made a prediction and just set it on top of the card case, right? So it's more natural versus reaching into your pocket and saying, look, I have a card case here, I'm going to set it on the table, and it happens to have a playing card folded on top of it, which might not be as strong, might not be as motivated, right? So I guess the moral of the story is you want to try to be a little clever with the way that you introduce these gimmicks. Now, there are tons of different gimmicks out there that, like I said, some of them are more naturally motivated than others. Like if you're performing bill changes, a lot of these bill change gimmicks are a little bit more motivated because you just have to remove it from your wallet. It's ready to go, and it makes sense because it's, you know, organic in that way. It's just money that everyone knows, you know, you keep money in your wallet. But then there are other gimmicks that are not as motivated as easily, like the wow gimmick, for example. So let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment below. Start a discussion. I would like to know the different types of gimmicks that you guys have worked with, and creative little ways that you have used to include them in your act that make them seem a little bit more natural. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you want to see more videos like it, please be sure to go ahead and hit that subscribe button, because we're going to be adding a lot more content every week. Also, right about there, there is the gimmicks versus sleight of hand video. So if you guys want to go back, check that out and add to the discussion there, that would be very, very much appreciated. Anyways, guys, see you very soon. Laters.